up, parties and hardos? Hope you enjoyed that theme song once again. I can't get enough of it. Our boy Jack Donovan did an excellent job at that, and I've only gotten compliments from it. How about you, Spinny?
Yeah, same. Like everyone that I've talked to about it has liked it. How many people have told you, reached out to you about it? Like a few,
At
like
least
multiple.
five. Yeah,
Wow.
4 or
Okay.
5.
All right. Let's
I
go.
mean, one of those was my dad, but
Oh
still
yeah,
counts.
he still counts.
Yeah, definitely one of our biggest fans for sure. We're gonna start this
Definitely.
episode though, episode 42, with headlines. Most of them are NFL related. The first one we're gonna start with. Crazy story here, and that's Darius Miles, charged with capital murder. Darius Miles is a backup forward for Alabama's basketball team, and I mean this is one of the best teams in the entire country. In fact, I think they are one or two right now in the country, and one of their players literally charged with capital murder. Apparently, he didn't actually do the killing, but he provided the gun right before the shooting. This is just a crazy situation. He's only 21 years old. The shooter's 20, and they killed a 23-year-old female. So, I mean, there obviously has to be some sort of backstory, because from what I've got and gathered from this article, is that it's like essentially a targeting shooting. Like they didn't just like randomly drive by and just shoot up some random car and accidentally kill this person. Like it was a target. So there's obviously some sort of backstory, but obviously this is inexcusable. That's You just can't do that. We're talking murder here. Like,
Yeah, it's crazy. Was he there at the time that it happened? Is
yes, he
that
was. He was
okay?
there as well. So they were, from what I understand, it was a drive-by shooting, and they were in the car together. Like I said, he didn't do the shooting, but he provided the handgun. So I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I
He was
mean that's
obviously.
definitely not something you should be involved in. Murder is atrocious, and yeah, I mean it's awful. That's all there is to say about it. I hope justice
Absolutely.
is found for the woman there. Do we have a name on her or not?
I just closed the.
I'm
I
sorry.
just closed the article. I'm sorry, Hardy's and Hardos. Go ahead, give that a search because it is a crazy story. So if you want more information, go ahead, give that a search and read up on it. But this is definitely a developing story, and we'll see what kind of information continues to come out about this. Moving on to some better news, though, is the All Pro team was announced this past week. Justin Jefferson and Travis Kelce will highlight the teams because they were the only two unanimous players, which kind of blows my mind that some of these other guys were like a vote or two short. I was like, who is the one person voting Pat Mahomes second team or whatever? Like, there's a lot of people like that. Another headline was Sauce Gardner, first rookie cornerback to make the All Pro team in 41 years. That's incredible. Some other highlights here: there were 16 individuals selected for the first time, including Josh Jacobs, Quinnen Williams, Roquan Smith, and Pat Surtain. Some highlights there. There's a number of basically all the special teamers were all first timers as well. So it's good to see the first timers on there. The only three returners for the defensive end was Micah Parsons, Fred Warner, and Minkah Fitzpatrick. I thought that was kind of interesting to note as well. Spinny, were there any snubs that stood out to you when you were looking at this list?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Christian McCaffrey. I gave his stats, recently in a pod or two ago, but he, was top three in total yards and had a ton of touchdowns, and he was up there in all those statistical categories. He did it for two separate teams. Obviously, there was a little lull in the changeover in the middle, but I just don't see how you don't have him on there, especially given he played the second half of the season on one of the best teams in the league.
And this is not taking anything away from Nick Chubb, who was the second team player. But I feel like there's at least like three other guys that I would give it
Yeah.
to over Nick Chubb. I'd give it to Saquon over him. I'd give the CMC obviously, and then probably even Austin Eckler.
Who was
I
who
mean,
was first team again? I'm sorry.
first team was Jacobs, which is
Okay, yep.
understandable given his breakout season. But I don't know. And I'm not saying Chubb didn't have all pro numbers, but I just don't think he had a good enough season compared to those other three I just said. So that was a
Yeah.
little surprising to me.
Yeah, I especially thought with Barkley's comeback and his use in the Giants offense and them being good basically because they
Because of him. Yeah. Spinny, we lost your audio here. I'll continue with the snowball. You try to figure that out. Another guy's Myles Garrett. This is a position, though, DN, that there's snubs every single year. So this is understandable. But Myles Garrett's definitely had a great season this year. Dexter Lawrence, another guy, he didn't make it for the D lineman, but he had a great season as well for the Giants, and Bobby Wagner. So those would be three defensive players that kind of stood out to me that, again, I don't know if they deserve to make the list over the guys that did, but they definitely had all-pro seasons nonetheless. For sure, the second-team running back is the main snub to me.
You got me back here. Are we on?
Do.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. Yes. And I just want to talk about Dexter Lawrence and his performance in last week's wild card game. Obviously there was a lot of guys there, but man, he was balling. So I like Dexter Lawrence. Just wanted to give him a little credit, even though he ripped apart my team's offensive line. So
yeah, we'll dive into that a little more in a bit here. That's for sure. That was depressing to see all game, but pretty much expected for the Vikings. On to some other NFL news. Tons of coordinators being fired in these last couple of days, as expected. It's that time of year, obviously. Just to rattle off a few that have happened in the last couple of days. Some of them even happened today. Byron Leftwich, Bucs offensive coordinator for the past 4 years. He's out. Todd Downing, Titans offensive coordinator, gone. Greg Roman, offensive coordinator for the Ravens for 6 years. He's gone. That one surprised me a little bit. Joe Lombardi, Chargers OC, gone. That doesn't really surprise me, but I am surprised that Staley is still on the team. He hasn't been fired yet, so that's a little surprising to me. And Scott Turner, another one, the Commanders offensive coordinator, he was fired as well. Spinny, are any of these guys you think should have for sure kept their job at least one more year? Or are you good with all these firings?
Did you say LaFleur as well? I can't remember. Mike LaFleur.
Oh, no, I didn't.
Jets?
No, okay. I didn't. Yep.
That was one.
That's a good one.
That one I just thought was funny because of the stuff with their receiver there. I'm losing his name right now. The one that was good last year and then didn't get
Elijah Moore.
Yes, Elijah Moore. If you didn't see his comments on Mike LaFleur as an offensive coordinator, go look him up because they are pretty hilarious, honestly.
Yeah, he was not happy to say the least.
No. I was a little surprised by the Greg Roman firing, honestly, because like that's how they've built their offense like for so long. But again, like I get it, there wasn't the offensive production that there needed to be, so a change had to be made. A big thing with that one is maybe it's going to signal a little bit more of a pass-related offense and maybe some receiver trades, maybe another Ravens-Arizona receiver trade, if you know what I'm saying, could be on the horizon.
That's true. So, do you think they're going to bring back Lamar?
Come on.
Yes. I mean, they have to, right?
They don't have to, but I just like when you have a quarterback that is top 10 when he's healthy, and let's be real, Lamar is. Like, he might be on the back end of that. He might be on that 8 to 10, 6 to 8 range, but you can have a pretty decent team with Lamar, and you will win your division, win multiple games, and that's what it is. Are you going to have to pay him a little more than you want to? Yes, you are. And if you're really scared about it, then franchise tagging him again and see where you are after next year. That's always an option. I just don't think you have any better options. Like, even if you're going to get one of the guys if you get one of the guys available, unless you're getting Tom Brady, like, other than that, like, what are you going to get? Derek Carr or Jimmy Garoppolo or a guy at that level or a rookie? And it's like, I don't think that's what the Ravens want to do with how their defense is built. So it's like, I'd feel like you just got to keep him unless you're trading him. But I don't see that either.
No, I completely agree. There's any option they're going to get, like you said, it's going to be worse than Lamar. And with their roster obviously built as win now, it would not make sense for them to go elsewhere, in my opinion. But it's just interesting to think about and debate just because of the fact that they didn't extend them last year when they probably should have. So we'll see what happens this offseason, that's for sure. Well, do you have any other headlines you want to discuss? Otherwise, we'll dive into this wild card round from this past weekend.
Yeah, let's get into wild card weekend, baby.
Let's do it. First game was on Saturday. That was the Seahawks 49ers game. I know the first half was really good. I had my own game for Bethany, so I only saw the tail end of it when the 49ers took over. So, Spinny, you want to talk a little bit about the beginning of that game?
Yeah, I was actually watching this game on my phone while I was in the stands at that game. But the first half was good, actually. It was really close. It was 17-16. Niners got out to that quick first lead, but then the second quarter was more Seahawks scoring. They got a quick field goal there at the end from Myers, a 56-yarder, and I was like, wow, this is going to be a game. Like, we're going to have something lit, and it's a divisional game. The Seahawks are going to make it, and then so many straight points from 49ers. I can't, math in my head is hard for me right now. 26 straight points. There you go, from the 49ers. And they went up 41-17, and it was like, well, there it is right there. Purdy played extremely well. He ended up with 332 yards and 3 touchdowns, 18 for 30, QPR of 89, quarterback rating of 130. Like, absolutely masterful playoff game from Purdy, and the Niners move on.
The other star stepped up too. McCaffrey over 100 yards on only 15 carries. Deebo Samuel 133 yards receiving and a touchdown. So yeah, their star stepped up big in that game too. DK Metcalf balled out though. I'll give him.
Yeah, he did.
Respect. 10 catches, 136 yards, and 2 touchdowns for him. Yeah, he was definitely a big reason they were in the game early. That's for sure. No surprise though. Everyone anticipated the 49ers taking that one pretty easily. So that game didn't come as a surprise. This next Saturday game, though, might have surprised some people. Not me and you, Spinny. We got this one right. We picked the Jags, but we were going through it. We were going through it in the beginning.
I was not a believer at halftime. I really wasn't. Even though Lawrence did get that good Ingram pass in there to give him a little momentum, I was like, I don't know if it can be done. And then 30-14 with 2:58 left in the third quarter, and it was kind of like, okay, we're not sure if we're going to be here again. But that quick Zay Jones score on that 40-yard touchdown, and then the rest is history. They just made it happen. Lawrence looked amazing. Four interceptions to start the game, followed by 4 straight touchdowns. I don't know. I think we're looking at a future top of the league quarterback, and I think he's just starting to show it.
I agree. Spinny, is it too early, or do you want to throw out the hot take you were trying to tell me about?
Oh, it's not too early. Trevor Lawrence is better than Justin Herbert. 100%. 100% better.
Your rankings going into next season, you're going to have Lawrence ahead of Herbert.
Yes. Lawrence has made the playoffs in his first year with a with a actually competent head coach. The first year he's actually had a competent, grown-up, professional head coach. And he takes a less talented team that Herbert's had in any year to the playoffs right away, and then beats Herbert after starting one of the worst playoff games out. Like, it would have been so easy for him to have no confidence. Like, after that, like 4 straight picks, you're down 27-0 in your first playoff game. Like, that is adversity if I've ever seen it. And to come out of that, even though you were at home, which did help, but still to come out of that and beat a team with superior talent than you to a quarterback that everyone thinks has superior talent than you, but actually does not, is impressive. So, yes, Lawrence is better than Herbert. I want to hear Trevor, my guy. I need to hear you on this, please. I've been blasphemous in your eyes about Herbert before right now, so I think but I don't think I am being. I think Trevor Lawrence is the real deal.
Yeah, Hardies and Hardos, especially Trevor, you listening to this episode, please drop comments on what you think about Spinny's take. I don't think it's that far-fetched. I really don't. Some people might think that's crazy to say, but those are valid reasons. I mean, like you said, essentially his first season with an actual head coach, and he goes to the playoffs with a way, way less talented roster. And then he beats Lawrence head-to-head.
And here's the thing. One caveat I will give is obviously Doug Peterson is a Super Bowl winning head coach, and we don't really know what Brandon Staley is right now. So the coaching matchup definitely favored Peterson, but just an absolute just to be able to be confident enough to make that comeback is impressive for me, for Lawrence.
They were throwing out some stupid stats that game, in my opinion. They were like, first half, it was like Lawrence, first quarterback ever to throw 4 interceptions in his first ever playoff start. And I was like, I mean, duh. Like,
Yeah, I know. Like,
and then
really?
later in the game, after he had the fourth touchdown too, another stat popped up. First quarterback to have 4 touchdowns and 4 interceptions in their first playoff game. I was like, again, duh. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. To me, those are just dumb. But I just thought that was funny. I thought I'd mention it. You have any other thoughts about this game? Otherwise, we'll jump to Sunday's games.
No, Harbert still looked good, obviously. You know, didn't have too much touchdown production. They went more to the run game in the
Only
red zone, but
right.
Herbert looked good, and I'm not discrediting him. He's still in the top 6, 7 in the
Yeah,
league.
he's
But
still a lock top 10. So
yes, but I just think Lawrence is better.
I do honestly think they need to fire Staley. So I'm surprised that he's still having a job as of now today. Or what do you
The
think
thing
about that?
is, the Chargers owners are really cheap historically, so I just
Yeah,
don't
that's
see
true.
them firing and paying Staley and then paying another big name head coach. Like if you're gonna fire Staley, who's been a decent coach, you got to go get Sean Payton or one of those guys like that. And they
It
don't
has
want
to
to
be
pay
clear
Sean.
upgrade. Yeah,
Yeah, they don't want to pay Sean Payton $20 million a year when they can pay Brandon Staley $4 million a year. So I think he might stay purely because of that.
that's a good point. I think Peyton's probably top 2 options, at least in my eyes, as of today, are probably the Cardinals and Broncos. I feel like
Yeah.
off the top of my head, I would say those 2 teams. Sunday's games, though, first one, very, very interesting game. I thought this would be a blowout. 34-31, the Bills squeaked away with this one. And, I mean, we said it. We said it last week. If the Dolphins can force 3 to 4 Josh Allen turnovers, they could be in this game. And that's exactly what happened. We had 3. I don't really want to say the second interception is his fault. It was kind of a weird play, bounced off his
Yeah.
receiver's chest and was picked off that way. But still, 3 turnovers. The other 2 were 100% his fault. Uh, Josh Allen just seems careless with the ball this year for some reason. I know he's dealt with turnover issues pretty much his whole career, right? But
Hmm.
this year, we're talking 30 plus turnovers. I know you've been harping him these last couple weeks for that, and I know that's why you're not going to be picking him this week. But that's something that he's got to figure out. Is this something just on Josh Allen, Spinny, or is it maybe because Dabble's gone?
Amen. That's all I gotta say to that.
Okay.
I've said this take for weeks now, Hardies and Hardos. You've heard this take about Josh Allen, and I'm just gonna let that be what it was because I couldn't have said it better myself, and we're just gonna sit back here. Obviously, a little bit to blame from other people on the Bills coaching staff. And not reining him in. And it does show, along with the evolution of Daniel Jones, it does show how good Daboll was. So obviously a little bit of that involved, but man, at some point, like that is what it is. You know, you're Brett Favre. You're
Yeah.
that guy. At some point, that just is what it is, and your team's gonna have to deal with it and hate it, even though you're amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it totally had 3 fumbles. He only lost one of them, but he had 3 fumbles and 2 interceptions as well. So, yeah, not a good game for Josh Allen. I just find it funny that Gabe Davis, like, he had a solid year.
Big
I know.
game, baby.
I was going to say, like, this man knows how to ball out in the playoffs. 6 catches,
It is
113 yards, and a touchdown after, like, going how long in the regular season without a 100-yard game. I just don't know
ridiculous.
what else to say about big game Gabe Davis, as you call him.
Yeah. Big game, baby. That's what we call them. No, I'm just kidding, but it is crazy. I guess for your FanDuel playoff games, that's Gabe Davis is definitely a guy you got to pick apparently because he just can't do it during the regular season. So
I'm still, like, looking at the team stats here, I'm still a little confused how this game was so close. Yes, Josh Allen had 3 turnovers, but Skylar Thompson had 2 picks. So only 1 more turnover there. The Bills had the ball for almost 5 more minutes. They only had 2 penalties, while the Dolphins had 7. And they had 423 total yards, and the Dolphins only had 231. So it's crazy that this game was this close, honestly. On paper, it looks like it would have been a blowout if you just looked at the stats and not the score. Oh, you're muted again, Spinny. We will jump though to the Giants Vikes. Spinny, once he gets his mic figured out, can make his last statement about the Bills game here. But yeah, on to this depressing finish for our Minnesota Vikings. I don't think many people were surprised, but it's definitely obviously very disappointing to say the least to lose in the wild card after going 13-4 in the regular season. But we just let Daniel Jones do whatever the hell he wants. And before I continue with my rant about our defense being terrible, Spin, you had any other thoughts about that Bills Dolphins game?
Yeah, obviously the fumble return touchdown was part of the yardage situation, and it was just a well-generated offense by McDaniel. Nothing too crazy, kept it pretty simple, and they just moved the ball just well enough to get it done. So good win by the Bills, but they can't play like that again.
That is facts, especially at this point in the playoffs. I mean, this is the only story about this Vikings game, right? Is our defense. Like, yes, Daniel Jones balled out, but how much of that? I guess time will tell this weekend if he's able to somewhat repeat this performance against the good Eagles defense. But I felt like that was the only story of this game. Our defense could not get a freaking stop to save our life. I know at one point in the game they were like 7 for 8 on third down conversions. I mean, Daniel Jones had like 400 total yards. I mean, this is Danny Dimes in his first ever playoff game, and we're going to let him just torch us like that. And again, this all goes our personnel is not very good, but it's all on the scheme, and it's all on this guy named Ed Donatel, who finally was fired today. I don't know how he wasn't fired Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, but he's finally fired today. And so I'm glad about that. Spinny, what are your takeaways from this game, though?
Yeah, Ed just failed to change, failed to have a different game plan, failed to blitz, failed to be aggressive. And that's what he makes his money on. But it just, with the personnel that our defense had, which is average at best, average to slightly below average, I think, as far as defensive talent goes, you cannot just be so vanilla. It doesn't work. Guys are too talented. Offenses are too good. Coaches are too good. They just scheme it. Like, I'm not a football mind here. I'm not like an offensive coordinator. I don't have background on how play calling works. But if I can understand the fact that Daniel Jones's favorite passes are short, easy, whatever he can get, and letting the receiver run, and him running, shouldn't we be endeavoring to stop those things and make him throw it over the top on us? Like, maybe I'm too simple. Maybe I don't get it. But like, that seems like a very simple change in game plan, at least, especially when you played these guys already. You have film from this year. And you saw Daniel Jones do that to us over and over in the first game. And then you came out and you're like, you changed nothing. Sometimes, as crazy as our friend Al's from the Al Travis show, as crazy as his takes are, sometimes I think he's right. And that Donatel goes in and he thinks, man, maybe if I don't change, that's what they'll expect me to change, and then I won't change, and that'll fool them. Like, I honestly sometimes ponder if that's what he thinks, because it's so ridiculous to me.
I mean, that's where it's at now, at least. You know, maybe like during the season, I could see that, but like to continue doing this over and over and over, week by week, it's just insane. I mean, me and you probably sound like a broken record for how many times we sat here and complained about Ed Donatel making zero adjustments from a week-to-week basis or from a half-to-half basis within the games. And for some reason, I had faith this would change come playoffs.
Because he kind of said it would. He kind of was like, it's going to be different. And then it was the same.
He said, you guys are going to love what our defense does this week, or whatever he said. Something along those lines.
Sorry, we didn't. We didn't love it.
No, we hated it.
All right.
We looked the exact same.
One other thing I got to say, too, is that our defense's inability to play kept our offense out of rhythm the entire game. Like, the beginning of the game was decent, you know, in the second quarter, but the second half, like, we scored 10 points, but it was just meh for most of that half. And then obviously the thing we got to talk about, for a man who played a pretty good game, upper 60s completion percentage, 2 touchdowns, an 85 QBR, rating of 113. Kirk, that last throw is still inexcusable. He's done this fourth quarter comeback thing the whole year. I was actually confident in it, and I honestly really was going into the drive. Like, I thought we could make it happen. As it's been the case all year. We've seen it. We saw it against the Giants once already, but the pressure and the line play was not up to snuff. And it's fourth down. Like, I don't care where you're at. You can't throw to a receiver that's essentially stopped with a guy on top of him. If he was running, okay, I can trust him to maybe get a stiff arm with a little bit of space. But stopped and basically looking at you, or a little bit of outside movement maybe he had going on. But from that perspective, it is just an impossibly bad decision on fourth down when the game's over if you don't get it. Throw it up. We saw what Jefferson did on fourth down against the Bills in triple coverage. Obviously, Jefferson was essentially in triple coverage, but throw it to Osborne, throw it to anybody past the sticks with a chance. And I know that's nitpicky, but all the Kirk haters have been on it, and I'm not a Kirk hater. I think he played well, but that is an inexcusable mistake in a playoff game.
Need 8 yards? Let's throw it 3. Yeah, no, I completely agree with you there. I do think part of the blame should also be placed on KOC. I'm not even going to lie. Obviously, at the end of the day, Kirk is still the guy with the ball in his hands, so the mistake is on him. So that's how that is. But why are you calling a play where it gives Kirk the opportunity to throw this pass? Why is Hockenson only running a 3-yard route when we need 8 yards? That, to me, that just didn't make any sense. If anything, you could tell the dude, extend this 3 more yards. Run this route 6 yards out instead of 3, so that you can catch it 2 yards away from the line or the first down line, and then maybe reach for it. I trust Hawk getting 2 extra yards once he's contacted, but 3-yard route, like why was that even ran? That just instantly came to my mind. I was like, why was that a route? Like,
I think the thought is right is if there's no guy underneath and it's wide open, then it's an easy dump for the first down. But
we
I think
also
that's
had Cook going out the other side too.
Yeah,
Cook went out to catch too. So it's like, I don't know if that was the thought. It's like you have the dump off option with Cook though. So it's like,
and a guy who can actually is better of a chance of breaking those one-on-one tackles in open field,
right?
When he doesn't trip on his own feet.
That play probably would have been a touchdown. That play, at least damn close. That's for sure.
And also, don't get cute on fourth down. Fourth down, short yardage. Don't get cute. Run it. Throw a short pass. Run a good play.
Wasn't that 3rd and 1
or third down? I'm sorry.
But yeah, either way, your point stands.
They punted after that. Don't get cute on third down when you're not going to go for it on fourth down on a 3rd and 1. Just sneak it, run it, do something.
Nope. Let's get Jefferson going to throw it all the way back to Kirk, and that was a better play. That KOC had some questionable calls throughout the game. So
I mean, I like that call. I just want it on 2nd and 15,
right?
Or something. When you're behind the sticks and you're trying to make a big play, and if you lose it, then you just start giving up to a punt anyway. Whereas not on 3rd and 1, where you can run a much more successfully percentage-wise play.
Yeah, for sure. Before we jump to the next game, Spinny, let's talk a little bit off-season here. We have a lot to consider. A lot. Obviously, we just fired Donatel, so we're going to have to hire a DC, and along with a number of vet players that we might cut, trade, etc., to create some additional cap space. Thielen, Darius, Kendricks, O'Neal, Brian O'Neal, Harrison Smith. These are all guys that we can either cut, restructure. What are your thoughts, Spinny, heading in the offseason? What players do you think we for sure need to cut or trade? And which of these vets would you like to see restructured and brought back?
I mean, right, we're probably losing Harry, Thielen, Cook. We're probably losing 2 of those 3 guys. I mean, looking at it, if I have to keep one of them, it's probably Harry, just because I think our defense is where we need to focus. Thielen, I'd love to keep him restructured, but obviously we can't pay him what we are right now. I think KJ could step up into that second role and he could be that third receiver. I think that's a fine role for him. Delvin probably has to go because of his pay compared to his position, and in a situation where we could probably get Madison for less money, So I think that from that perspective is probably going to be moving on from Delvin.
Yeah, I think for sure we need to move on to Dalvin. I agree with you there. I'd like to see, like you said, I'd like to see restructured Harrison Smith. I'd like to see him back, and Brian O'Neill as well. Given he was like 8th or 9th rated tackle on PFF this year, actually, and Darius was 2. So we have great tackles. So we might as well keep them both, right? And then try to work on our interior line, which obviously is ridiculously bad.
Yes, agreed.
This running back situation, though, Spinny, you think we should bring back Madison, or are we going to let them both walk and then go for somebody new?
Either way, I'm fine with it. I don't mind Madison as a running back.
I don't either.
So either way, I think it's good. I think a running back could be draftable as well. We see how good rookie running backs can do, and obviously then you're getting a second or third round pay scale. So
yeah, for sure. And then this, for those that don't know, this free agent class for running backs is loaded. There's a ton of running backs available. So we could very easily bring somebody in that's, maybe not quite as good as Cook, but not far behind. Like Miles Sanders, David Montgomery. I'm just throwing guys off the top of my head here that I know are free agents. Kareem Hunt, another one, Tony Pollard. All these guys are only going to command like 7 or 8 mil from what I've seen this offseason. And Cook's getting paid, what, 14?
Yeah.
12 to 14, somewhere in that range. So about half the contract of Cook for a player that's almost as good. So I think that's why I definitely think we need to move on from Cook this year. As much as I love him, but that's the reality of running backs. That's what it is.
Agreed.
On to the next game here. The Sunday night game was Bengals-Ravens. I thought this would be a little bit bigger of a blowout. The Ravens obviously should have won this game. But with Tyler Hunt, before we actually dive into the game itself, I think it's so ridiculous that guys like J.K. Dobbins were after the game just like instantly being like, yeah, if we had Lamar, we would have won. Like, how do you think that makes Tyler Huntley feel?
I know. That's just a horrible teammate comment to say. Like, as
and Harbaugh said something like that too.
It's just like, come on now. I get it's emotional, but holy crap. Like, what did you want the guy to do? He's not a starting quarterback in the league. He's a good backup. He did his best. He was an idiot on the goal line play, and he should have not jumped and went straight in underneath and got pushed in the back and snuck it in. But it is what it is. Like, Lamar needs to be healthy. That's not on Tyler Huntley. So he did what he did, and I agree they would have won with Lamar, but it's just not something you say.
Especially like that quick.
Yeah,
that quick. Like the night after the game, next morning, whenever he said it, like, just throw your teammate under the bus like that.
Literally.
And another thing with that is there's obviously more ways they could have won the game. It's not like only Tyler Huntley played bad. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So that's a little ridiculous to me, and I just thought I needed to bring that up. The Bengals offense, though, didn't really look good in this game. It didn't.
No.
I think that just has a lot to do with the fact that it's the division opponent. It's the third time they played this team. They just played them last game of the regular season, so to have to play this team back-to-back weeks, that's tough. So I should have probably anticipated a closer game like it was, but I didn't. I didn't see this coming. I thought it would be an at least 10 to 14-point game, honestly.
Yeah, obviously I didn't think it was going to be close either. Mixon played really bad. He
11 carries, 39 yards.
He was talking his crap before the game too, and then he underperformed. So that was very, very interesting. Burrow played okay. I would say about average, maybe slightly below. Chase did well. The other receivers were kind of underwhelming. But yeah, Baltimore's defense is real. Like, they're real. Like, when they're healthy, like, it's crazy. Can we get us Lamar, a star receiver, have Bateman come back as the 2, that defense to stay healthy, and it's a real team.
Yeah, for sure. No, some other team stats here that definitely point to the fact that the Ravens should have won this game. 364 total yards for the Ravens, only 234 for the Bengals. They had 5 more first downs. They had the ball for 5 more minutes than the Bengals. They had 100 more yards rushing. So you would anticipate, controlling the clock and controlling the ground like that, you would end up winning the game. But yeah, that's just not the reality of it. So shout out to the Ravens for keeping that close, especially with a backup quarterback. I'm not going to be like you, J.K. Dobbins, and roast this man. But shout out to Tyler Huntley for keeping that a game and making that competitive.
Yeah, and getting them into the playoffs, period. So shout outs
Facts.
overall to Tyler Huntley,
Facts.
even though they lost.
Even though they lost, of course. The Monday game, this was crazy to me. Did not see this coming. I hated this game. I turned it off at halftime because it was just so boring to me. Cowboys routed the Bucks 31-14. Dak played the game of his freaking life. 5 total touchdowns, 0 turnovers. That's the main reason why I didn't see this coming. I thought for sure we'd see classic Dak and at least 2 to 4 turnovers. No, we saw 5 touchdowns, 0 turnovers. So the Cowboys, they looked amazing in that game. Bucks, complete opposite. We had Tom Brady throwing 66 times because there was literally 0 rush game whatsoever. And obviously, being down that time, the whole game, you're going to throw that much too. But 35 for 66, that's not good.
Yeah, slightly above 50% for Brady. Obviously, it wasn't a great performance. He had pressure a decent amount, but the Bucs haven't looked good all year. And I should have known this was like Brady's last year in New England when everyone was kind of like, oh, they could win, and then they got beat. Like they looked like they had all year. And I should have seen that coming more. But again, like you said, I did not see a Dak performance like this. I saw a Bucs performance similar to this, but a Cowboys performance of meh. And then we would have had a close one, and I trust Brady late to make it happen. Because
Right.
if it's one score late, it doesn't matter what all season has been when it's one score late in the playoffs. But they couldn't even get it to that point. Yeah, that's all I got to say. I don't see Dak doing it again. We're going to talk about that here in a second. But yeah, it was a really, like you said, best playoff performance of his life for sure.
Yeah, after this struggle all year for the Bucs offense, it makes sense why they decided to move on from Byron Leftwich. That's for sure. On to the divisional round, which starts again Saturday. 2 games Saturday, 2 games
Also,
Sunday.
can I say one thing about the Bucs first?
Ahead.
I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
It shows the importance of head coaching in the NFL as well. I mean, offensive line injuries are obviously huge, but Todd Bowles is not Bruce Arians. I know Brady and Arians didn't get along well, but Bowles has not had success as a head coach in the past, and obviously this year it was a theme as well. I will be surprised if Brady goes back to the Bucs. Just want to put that out there before we move on to next week.
I completely agree with that point. First game here, though, 3:30 on Saturday is the Chiefs and Jags. Jags obviously going to KC. Spinny, what are your thoughts about this game, and who do you got winning? I know you obviously have the Chiefs winning, right? Since that was
I have the Chiefs. Chiefs are minus 8.5 right now.
Minus 8.5. Yep.
I'd even be confident in that too. I think it's going to be a 2-possession game. Mahomes is 8-3 in the playoffs. His only 3 losses at New England in the 2019 AFC Championship. He lost 37-31. The Super Bowl against the Bucs, where he had 500 yards of rush yards in the backfield running away from the pass rush with both his tackles out. And last year's AFC Championship against the Bengals, where he had those 2 turnovers that were super crucial, and Burrow played his butt off. Given that, the AFC Championship last year was his only home loss in his playoff career. They are not losing at home to a 9-8 team who is not there yet. I think they did to the Bengals once last year. They kind of lost to a underwhelming team that's not quite there yet, and I don't think they're going to overlook the Jags, and I think they're going to be solid, and Mahomes is going to be protected and given time and absolutely shred the Jags D.
For sure. I completely agree with all those points. I do think, though, it could go less than the spread here if we see another great Lawrence performance here. Obviously, the Jags, we saw it last week. The Jags are not going to give in. They're not going to give up. You're going to be down by 27 at halftime again. they're still going to continue to battle until the clock hits zero. So I think that says something about the team and the leaders in that locker room. So I do think if another magical performance from, minus the 4 interceptions, obviously, another magical performance, though, second half performance from Lawrence could keep this game interesting. But yeah, I think there's no shot the Jags actually win this game. I'm also rocking the Chiefs. I'm going to go, let's go 34-26 final score. So just under the spread for me.
Yeah, I'm going like a 35-21 type win for Kansas City.
I could see that. I could see that as well.
Next game is. Ooh.
No, you could say it. This one's going to be interesting, man.
Giants Eagles. This thing's going to be. I don't think it's going to be as interesting as you think. So I'm going to let you talk about what you think how this game's going to go.
So we got a 7.5 point spread for the Eagles, obviously playing at home against a 9-7-1 Giants team. Same reason as this Ravens-Bengals game that we just discussed. That's why I think it could get close and be a lot more interesting than people think. Third time these teams have played each other. It's hard to beat a team 3 times in one season, even if you have this home field advantage. So just that fact alone makes me think this game might be close. I really do. Also, the Hurts shoulder injury. I don't think he's 100% yet. I really don't. So I'm kind of wondering, hopefully that extra week. I shouldn't even say hopefully. I hate the Eagles, so I don't care if they lose. But that extra week probably helped out. So we'll see how he looks throwing the ball. But that could affect him and obviously affect the game. If he's not 100% and not performing at 100%, they could end up losing this game because Miles Sanders, he hasn't looked that good these last couple weeks. Their running backs in general haven't looked very good. So this is going to be on Hurt's shoulders. If he's able to carry this team as he has all year, they'll have no issue. Kind of like this Jags-Chiefs game, though. I'm still rocking the favorite here. I'm still picking the Eagles. I don't think this upset's going to happen. But just given the fact that their division opponent's playing for the third time this year, we might see a very close game like this Ravens-Bengals game from this past week.
Yeah, here's my thing with this game. Eagles minus 7.5. My thing is that in their first matchup, it was 48-14, and then they scored a late garbage time touchdown. That was 48-22. Second matchup was 22-16. It was a closer game. But the Giants started Davis Webb in that game. So, again, like, no Daniel Jones obviously made a difference. I just don't know if the Giants can score on the Eagles' D. Like, I am confident the Eagles will score 24 points. And I just don't know if the Giants can score that many points on the Eagles' D. That's the reason I'm going Eagles. Again, this is too close of a game for me to bet the spread, but I definitely think Eagles are going to pull it out.
For sure. I think it'll probably be a 3 to 4 point win for the Eagles is what I'm going for. I would be shocked if that spread actually hits at 7.5, to be honest, just because of the fact that division opponents playing for the third time. Moving on to these Sunday games, though, these are the interesting ones. That's definitely why the NFL put these ones on Sunday. The 2 p.m. game, that's really weird start time, I feel like. Do they always do that?
2 and 6? I think that's pretty normal.
Do they do that? Okay.
Yeah. Because then it's still, 11 on the West Coast? So it's still, like, reasonable.
Right. Okay. Yeah. That makes sense then.
Or noon on the West Coast. Noon West
Coast. Yeah.
3 o'clock East Coast. So it's still like reasonable for everyone.
For sure. Bengals visit the Bills. 12-4, 13-3. The Bills are 5.5 point favorite. That shocks me. 5.5? I mean, if I was betting this game, I'm smashing the Bengals. That's for sure. I definitely don't. I'm going to rock the Bills since that obviously was my pre-playoff pick here in this game. But I would not bet that spread if I was a Bills fan. That's for sure. Trying to think of the difference in this game. I mean, I think Josh Allen maybe can take care of the ball this game. Maybe we'll only see 1 or 2 turnovers. I'm also anticipating at least 1 or 2 turnovers from the Bengals as well. And I said this on the Al Travis show. If you didn't check that out, go ahead, look at our shared video on Facebook. But I said that this morning. I think the main difference in this game is the rush attack and the rush defense of these teams. The Bills only giving up about 40 rush yards a game, which is insane to think about. And the Bengals only averaging about 80 or 90 rush yards a game offensively. And then defensively, the Bengals give up 130 or something like that. I don't have the stats on top of my head. And then the Bills rush for 150 yards a game. So, no, it was flip flop that actually. The Bengals give up 150 and the Bills rush for 130. So
Okay.
I think maybe the Bills are the main difference here in this game. Bills are going to control the ground game, which in turn means they're going to control the clock. And I mean, this game's coming to the last possession, right? I'm giving this a 3-point win for the Bills.
Yeah. I'm taking the Bengals in this game. Obviously, I'm taking them with the points too. But I think, I think they're going to have a better game again at Buffalo. A little scary, but BBB is going to ball out this game. You know, he's coming to play. This is a game against another big
You want
quarterback.
to you want to explain what that means for our listeners who maybe forgot?
Big balls Burrow, baby.
Big balls Burrow.
He balls out in these big games and against one of the other top echelon quarterbacks at their stadium. I just trust the Bengals. Those last 2 years have made me believe in them more than the Bills, and I think Allen's going to turn over at least 3 times. So I think that's what it is.
Yeah, I will admit if Allen turns it over 3-4 times, they're going to lose. I would be shocked if they were able to win with that many turnovers against this good of a team. So that's definitely the storyline to follow is if Josh Allen can take care of the ball. So we'll see come Sunday. The other Sunday game, 5:30, is your Dallas Cowboys visiting the 49ers. I'm obviously going to be cheering for the 49ers in this game because screw the Cowboys. But I think this could be interesting. We're going to have a 4-point spread, right? 49ers?
Yeah, I want to say 3.5. Might be 4.
3.5 or 4. That's the spread for the 49ers. I don't know. As a bettor, I don't know about that, to be honest. I could anticipate being a 3-point game. I could also see it being a 7 to 10-point game.
FanDuel has 3.5. ESPN has 4. So.
ESPN has 4, yeah. Which Dallas team is showing up in this freaking game, though, Spinny? Like, are we going to see a Dak go on the road again and ball out again? Because if he balls out, I'm not saying he has to have 5 total touchdowns again, but if he performs well, they could win this game. They actually could. But they're also going to rely on some Purdy mistakes. Maybe this is the game that Purdy finally makes a mistake or two. And so I think it's a little combo of both. They're going to need Dak to absolutely ball out again and then Purdy to actually turn the ball over.
35-17 final score in this game. Niners.
Blowout.
35-17. I think this game's going to be a terrible watch. I think Dak is going to go back to what we normally see, going to turn it over 2 or 3 times. The Niners defense is ridiculous. And Purdy's going to keep it up, keep playing like he has, again, that almost 90 QBR in the first game.
Kyle Shanahan.
I know, but Purdy's doing it. Purdy's been better than Jimmy. Like, you got to, yeah, way better. So you got to give him credit. But Cowboys D is too boom or bust for me. I think they might finally bust this game, and there's no way Dak can play as well as he did. The Niners defense is just too good. I just see this as a blowout.
That boom or bust you were just talking about, only 50 yards rushing given up by a Cowboys D, but 350 yards passing. So that secondary has been a weakness for them all year. I know they recently brought Trayvon Diggs up. I know he played in that Bucs game. So they were looking for some more vet help. I don't think that's going to matter. I'm also rocking the 49ers here. I'm going to go, let's go 31-21. So only a 10-point win for me. Not as big of a blowout, but definitely anticipate the 49ers being able to win this one. Spinny, do you have any other thoughts? Otherwise, we'll jump to our last segment of this episode, which is a mid-season NBA update. So we're just going to talk generally. Spinny, I'll let you start. What kind of storyline, headline, anything NBA related has caught your eye in recent weeks?
Yeah, I had 3 games going last night, and I had a buddy over. We were just kind of talking the season over. And I just have to say how wrong I was about Jokic. Obviously, he's back to plus 100, best MVP odds.
Muted again. Spinny's Jokic take a couple weeks ago on, I can't remember the episode off the top of my head, 38, 39. It's titled Top NBA Players of This Season. Go ahead and watch that. Spinny did not have Jokic in his top 10 at that time. Ridiculous to me. Anyway, Spinny, you were saying?
So yeah, I had that terrible take. Jokic has not shot under 50% since October 28th. He has shot over 50% in 43 of the 44 games so far. Absolutely ridiculous efficiency from Jokic this year. Like absolutely unbelievable. He might win 3 straight MVPs, which you've all heard the crap I've talked about Jokic coming from the first to the second to now the third, but this might be his most deserving year. So especially with them being first in the West.
32-13.
Yep. And so
second best record in the entire league.
Yeah. So if they keep that up right now, that's I just think it's probably going to be him.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, we talked about it before we started
43 of 44 games over 50%. Are you kidding me?
Plus, he's averaging like 9.7-ish, 9.8 assists. So he's almost to that triple-double. Yeah.
With that efficiency.
Would be the third player ever to average triple-double for a season. With that efficiency, like you said, on a really good team. So yeah.
And he's 7 feet tall.
Yeah. So at that point,
center
averaging 10 assists on the best or second best team in the league, record-wise at least. You have to give it to him again, I guess. Like crazy to say because we haven't seen a three-peat winner since your boy Larry Bird.
Yes, sir.
And that was how
last
long ago?
Three-peat winner in the 80s.
This standings though transitions perfect to what I was going to bring up, and that's just literally this crowded West. It is insane to me. It seems to get more and more stacked / balanced every year somehow. I mean, we've been talking about how loaded the West is for 15 years now. And it is the case again this year, if not more. We got.
It's more balanced this year, but I would not say it's as top heavy lit. It's definitely more balanced, but I think the best, probably 3 teams in the league are in the East right now.
Yeah, that's fair. But there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams within 2.5 games of the 6th seed. Like what? The Jazz are currently the 6th seed at 24-24, and the Lakers are the 13th seed at 20-25, 2.5 games behind them. So that's just crazy to think about. Spinny, what do you have to make of the standings as it is right now, and which of these teams currently in the playoffs is going to fall? So
I see. Go ahead. I just see Utah falling.
Right.
I don't know if they can keep it up. And Oklahoma City obviously is the 9th seed right now. I don't know if they can stay in that playoff hunt as well. Hopefully the Wolvies are the climber in that group once they start to figure it out with Rudy, hopefully a little more, so this doesn't look as trash, given that Walker Kessler's outperformed him in half of his minutes basically so far this season. But I see those as the teams that are falling. I was wrong about Sacramento. There was a lot of people high on them, and I was not. But they look like they could be the real deal and stay in that top 4 or 5 seed range.
Yeah, that is crazy to me. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they fell out of the top 4, but I will be surprised if they fall all the way out of the playoffs. They've showed that so far, at least over halfway through the season, that they are definitely a playoff team. That's a bonus addition. Has worked out very nicely for them. He is balling out this year, 19, 12.5, and 7 assists. That's his average this year. Monster. Another, I guess, important thing to note about these standings is your Phoenix Suns being the 12th seed, 21-24, 1-9 in their last 10 games. I mean, this all has to do with their best player D Book being out, right?
Yeah, I mean, they just don't have anybody else. CP3 is beyond his prime, and Ayton still looks like he doesn't want to be there. So
he doesn't. I can't believe they actually got him to sign that extension because that was like one of my biggest takes for this offseason. I don't know what the hell episode it was, but I was like, yeah, Aiton's gone. Maybe traded to like the Blazers or somebody that needs a center. Nope, let's resign him, even though he absolutely hates Monty Williams.
Yeah, I don't know. But interesting goings-ons there, especially with the team being sold and everything. I could see a big move going on. Hopefully it's D-Book.
D-Book to
Probably
the
won't be.
Wolves?
I mean, yeah, what are we going to give him, though?
Just give him D'Lo. They'll do that, right?
Oh, yeah. Would you give him Cat?
Give him Rudy. Rudy and D'Lo.
Would you give him Cat?
I mean, I feel like I probably would, but I just don't know if I want to do that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because like then our best two players are the same position.
Same position,
pretty much.
Yeah.
I don't want to start, even though it wouldn't be a terrible idea, but I don't really want to start D-Book or Ant at the 1, and I also don't really want one of those guys to be our 3 either. So, yeah, that'd be a tough situation.
That's fair.
Eastern Conference standings, yeah, definitely very top heavy. Like you said, some of the best teams in the league are possibly in this conference this year. Overall, standing wise, it's Boston, Denver, Memphis, and then Bucks, Philly, and Brooklyn, and Cleveland. So yeah, I mean, other than the Nuggets and Grizzlies, the top 5 seeds in the East are pretty much the best teams in the league, which is crazy to think about. Is this what you anticipated? I mean, I feel like we were pretty high on most of these teams, right? We were high on the Bucks and Sixers and Celtics and whatnot.
I was a little low on Boston even, really, but I didn't expect.
I was low.
You were even lower, but I did not expect 31.1 from Tatum and 27.2 from Brown. 2 scores plus 27 at over halfway point of the season.
Almost
not to
60
mention
points per game.
Yeah, from 2 guys. Not to mention Brogdon's 14, Smart 11.2, Derek White 10.1. 5 guys over 10. Just those 5 guys together is like almost 95 points, 92 points combined from those guys. Plus Horford, Rob Will, and Grant Williams, who's been having a great season from the 3-point line, especially. I mean, if they can make this Jakob Poeltl thing happen, like you're looking at.
Did you see the asking
real
price?
Championship contender? Yeah, 2 firsts.
2 firsts. If you're the Celtics, though, that could put you over the top. You got to do it, right?
I mean, I think you have all these, like,
you have to do something at least. Maybe
just
it's
send
not Pearl,
it on those
but
picks.
You have to send it. Yeah.
I think Poeltl's the perfect option, though, honestly, because they have it's got to be a big, just especially with the Robert Williams injury potential and Horford being a little older. It's got to be a big, and I think he's the best one available.
Yeah. No, I agree there. Do you have any other thoughts about these standings? Otherwise, I'm gonna mention this ridiculous stat leader group here.
Go ahead.
We're talking 43 players, Spinny, are averaging at least 20 points a game. There's no way that's how it usually is. There's no way it's that many. The scoring this year is ridiculously up. I mean, we have 5 guys averaging at least 30. 5. And the next 3 are at LeBron 29.8, KD 29.7, Damian Lillard 29.3. So pretty much 8 players averaging 30. Like, what?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous to me. Oh my God.
That is insane.
To be like, I mean, just some random names in here that, in my opinion, have no business averaging 20 plus points a game, but they are. Well, Lauri Markkanen, you're probably most improved player in the year, averaging 24.8. Ridiculous. You got Bojan Bogdanovic. Like, he's how old? He's all of a sudden having a career year, 21 points a game. You got Clarkson, another Jazz player, balling out 21 a game for him. You got 3 Warriors players averaging over 20. You got Clay at 20.9, Poole at 21 flat, and then Curry, wherever the hell Curry is, averaging at least 25, I would imagine. I can't find him on this list, probably due to lack of games, I would imagine. Kelly Oubre, 20.2. just the names that are just going off this year is crazy.
Yeah, shout out to George for the trivia guess on that one. But yeah, the scoring
Oh
this
yeah,
season
yeah.
has been absolutely insane. Yeah, I mean, I just we just have it's okay. I think I said this on the pod. Maybe I didn't already, but it's just time for league expansion. You know, we need Seattle and Vegas,
You did
Memphis
say
going
that,
to the
yeah.
East, and that's just where we are. You know, there's a star on every team now, at least one. So let's get some more teams. Let's get some better things going. Like I'd love to see growth of all the pro leagues in our lifetime. Like that'd be lit. Like if we're getting good enough to have 40 teams by the time 20 30 years from now, that'd be absolutely insane. Hopefully we're doing this podcast in a studio and making bank nation, having pro players on here by then. But I
That would be
I
lit
absolutely love everything about the NBA players right now.
for sure.
One thing I did want to talk about here a bit is just like the awards leaders. There's been a few surprises. We got Russ plus
Let's hear him.
150 for six man. That's a huge
He's
thing. I
been
think that
balling. He's
he's been
embraced that
balling.
bench role.
Yep. Brogdon and Poole plus 500, little expected. Again, MVP, we already talked about that a little bit. Those top three. DPOY, Jaren Jackson the third in number one, and then Brooke Lopez plus 230. That's crazy. So we're gonna get a DPOY of Jaren Jackson or Brooke Lopez looking like right now, which would be crazy. Six man of the year is pretty much that 2-man race between Laurie Markin and SGA. If you want that been good but really went to like 30 a game like SGA's at, or if you're more for the Markin has never been a star before and now he's the best player on the team. So just a couple interesting award predictions there. Anything or award odds, current award odds, anything standing out to you from that?
Brooke Lopez being second in DPOY, that's the biggest thing that stands out to me. I just can't believe
He's
that.
never been there before like that.
Never. And that's why it doesn't. Okay, I want to preface what I'm about to say with saying I have not watched many Bucks games this year. So he maybe is deserving of that, but it is ridiculous to me that he is ahead of Giannis because Giannis is clearly a way better defender than Brooke Lopez. There's just no way. I'm giving it to Drew Holiday even. There's no chance I'm giving Brooke Lopez DPOY over those two on his own team. I just don't get that.
I mean, his huge improvement up to 2.5 blocks a game is obviously why he's in it, and that is crazy. Like
it is crazy.
He's never been in that realm before, so you got to give him credit for that at least. But yeah, I'm a little surprised by that as well. And obviously, none of us saw Laurie Markkinen coming, so credit to him for absolutely balling this year. That's he's looking like whatever. Yeah, he's looking like what everyone thought he could be coming out of. College. You're like, this is what this guy could be at his best. So,
the man's only 25 years old. So
exactly.
I mean, some of these guys, I think we just need, as fans, need to learn to be a little more patient with them. Not everybody comes in and is a star right away. Some people take 2-3 years. Some people like Laurie take 4 or 5 years, and that's totally okay. I mean, he's a 25-year-old NBA player. Like he's the same age as me. So
we'll see. Same age as both of us. We'll see if this is just kind of a one-year wonder thing, though, because of his getting the amount of touches he is in Utah, or if he can actually continue this. Because if he can continue this beyond this year, that'll be awesome.
For sure. Last thing I want to bring up here, and I'm just going to rattle off your voting leaders for the All-Star game, at least fan voting here. Obviously, that accounts for 50% of the starters with, what is it, media and
coaches?
25, and coaches are the bench.
Yep.
So what would it?
Media and players?
Yeah, it's either media and players or media and front office. One of those two combos.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Something like that. But at least the player voting here, we got LeBron running away with it as expected in the West. He's going to be the captain. No one's really even in contention other than Curry, but Curry's still 1.4 million votes behind LeBron. So we're going to be seeing another LeBron captain this year. The East, though, is close. Giannis just surpassed them today, or KD, I should say, surpassed KD. He's got 5.9 mil, while KD has 5.8. So this one's probably going to go right down to the wire. And who will be the captain. Obviously, the other one is pretty much locked in. Tatum is leading this Embiid race for the third forward to be in, because one of them is going to be snubbed from their starting spot. No doubt about it. 4.5 mil to 4.3 mil for Embiid. So Tatum has that slight edge as of now, but we'll see what happens over these next couple weeks. For the guards in the East, Kyrie 3.9 mil, Donovan Mitchell 3.8. No one else. Jaylen Brown has 2 flat. So those two are going to easily be the starters, Kyrie and Donovan. In the West, we're looking at Luka and Curry easily being the starters there, by far ahead of Ja, who is third. And we might see an AD in the starting lineup. As of right now, he's third for forwards. So we have 4.7 mil, Jokic, 3.8 mil AD, Zion right behind him at 3.7. I know. Did you predict Zion? I predict him as one of my starters.
I can't remember if I did or not. I think I might have at that point because he wasn't hurt yet. So
I had him there. I mean, you knew the Laker fans were going to show out on this boat,
yes,
and get AD in there.
Yeah. All-Star is 50% fans, 25% media, 25% players. So
okay,
that's where we're at on All-Star voting.
Yeah, I feel like most of these guys I just rattled off will be the same for the media at least, but it's going to be interesting to see who the players vote. That last 25% might skew some people, but we'll see. I mean, no surprises here, right, Spinny? Are you surprised by any of that?
No, I'm honestly not. I thought it was pretty much it was pretty darn close to what we predicted at the beginning of the year if it wasn't exactly right.
Yeah, for sure. Do you have any other closing thoughts about the NBA or anything? Otherwise,
no, it's been a fun year at the halfway point. A lot of surprises.
A lot of stat outbursts.
Yeah, huge ones. Luka 34, almost a trip up for him too. So craziness.
Well, we'll see y'all Hardys next week for episode 43. We've also been thinking about doing some sort of fantasy basketball special.
Yes.
We haven't done that yet. So drop comments if that's something that'll interest you. Drop comments on segments you would like to hear for that. Anything along those lines, because we might be dropping some specials for fantasy basketball here going forward.
Yep, I definitely agree. That could be something fun. For sure.
Well, peace out, Hardys and Hardos. We love you.
Hug your friends and family. Can you think of a number 42? The only one that comes to mind, I'm not going to mention his name because he's a horrible human. Maxi Kleba, 42.
You did not just say Maxi Kleba.
The Maxi Kleba episode. Come on.
The Maxi Kleba episode.
I can't think. 42.
42, Spinny. There's no way you're forgetting the most obvious name there is.
Who?
Oh, this is disrespect. My dad.
42.
My dad's going to slap you.
Hold on.
That should be a hint.
It's baseball. Then.
Spinny.
Is it Jackie Robinson?
Jackie Robinson, 42 is retired.
I thought that was 43, but yeah, you're right.
No, 42. This is.
It's definitely. It is the Jackie Robinson episode. Yeah, you're right. Jackie Robinson episode. It could be the Ronnie Lott episode or the Mariano Rivera episode.
All right, we're cutting this off for you. Just throws out more random names.
James Worthy, Big Game James episode.
Okay.
There's some real good names on here. Come on.
We're sticking with Jackie Robinson though, the man.
All right. It can be the Nate Thurmond episode. You're right.
Oh my God.
Shout out Jackie Robinson episode. We love you, Hardys and Hardos. Hug your friends and family, and have a good night.